Yo, I'm Ryan. This is Cole over here. We are hosting the Beyond the Total podcast, talking about all things powerlifter mindset in the gym, longevity in the sport. We'll get some programming, nutrition stuff in there. Anything you want to add to that, Cole?
Just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Cole, mostly a nutrition coach, but also a powerlifter coach on the side as well. Just looking forward to talking everything about everything at once, honestly.
Oh, yeah. How long have you been coaching lifters, man?
I've been coaching lifters for about like 2.5 years. I was mostly free up until like recently, but coaching the Milwaukee Powerlifting Club for the whole entire, ever since I was like a freshman or sophomore in college. So that's how I got my start, and now I'm just trying to
Yeah,
branch out.
yeah. I remember seeing you at a meet in Northeast Wisconsin. That was like, man, that was 2020.
That was a while ago, man. That was the first time I've ever met you. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
crazy.
I was gonna say we've been around the block, and I think that goes into what we're talking about today: burnout in the sport. Right? Um, we just get right into it.
Of course, absolutely.
All right, man. I remember reading this stat: average career of a powerlifter 2 years. Like that's pretty nuts, honestly. Um, like have you heard something similar? Like I heard 2 years. I've heard 2 to 3 going around lately.
Yeah, I've heard anywhere from 2 to 4. Yeah, like it's very unpredictable. It's just when someone first starts, they get the honeymoon phase, and then it can trickle down into a slippery slope, and it's just about maintaining that and not letting that slippery slope even happen. But we can understand that those downs are meant to happen
Yeah,
overall, and that's what we're going to get into.
yeah. I would say honestly, thinking about this, I think like a lot of people when they first start out, they're like comparing themselves to the phenoms, of course, right? And it's like I think there's something to be said too about like, if you're new to the sport and you like don't have this massive like uptake in strength all at once, I actually think that's like that. I think that's a good thing longevity wise because it like teaches you that you're not like to not expect like this massive drop off because you never really had this massive uptick, right? I mean, obviously, like you should be gaining strength at a decent rate when you first start, but like, some of these phenoms, I mean, their mindset is pretty good to be in the sport long term, but like a lot of people, like I think that had they had that like massive increase, they'd probably drop off quicker than if they had a slower increase. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree. Yeah, there's like I can't name the amount of times on both of my hands if I multiplied it by 5 even about people that like juniors that are extremely strong, and like I see them like at high school state or at high school nationals, and like they have so much like limitless potential, and then like something can go wrong in their personal life, an injury, whatever, and like maybe even just one bad block, and it can change like the course of everything. It's just like you see juniors just fall off the face of the earth, and it's just like, damn man, you could have been like the goat. Like you could have had so much potential. But yeah, I think like you see like Chael Bakulin's or Kiel, whatever, however you
Yeah,
say it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
his journey, like his total was, I don't even know what his total was. I could check, but he's been competing for like what, 20 years. Like it's insane, and he's only just now is like reaching his peak, and that's like kind of what mindset I have personally. It's like maybe we're not where we want to be right now, but we know that it's a journey. We know that it's going to take a long time to get to where we want to be, and that's what's rewarding about the sport.
Yeah, yeah. I think like Marcellus too. He's been competing on the platform like 10 years, and he like Marcellus Williams Swolfesser, shout out. He I think he put on like 400 pounds of his total or something like that in 10 years. Like, but he was at like 1,200, brought it to 1,600. So like those goats have been around, but a lot of these newer like lifters where the gene pool is just getting like ridiculous in powerlifting is actually crazy. You got like Will Ball and stuff like that. than like, as a teen and like lifting the amount that he does and stuff, and being a couple years into the sport, it's like, comparing that, a lot of lifters are like, why am I not in that position? Or they don't kind of see their potential. They don't give it enough time, because sometimes too, like this can go into some programming and lifter psychology, but like as soon as things stop working, people want to like do this massive change or shift, where it's like sometimes it just takes some time to run things out. Like I've had a lot of like lifters I've worked with, and even myself, where it's like I want to make this change, things aren't feeling good in the block, and then all of a sudden it hits this point where things start to really uptick, like repeated bout effect, like you're adapting to things as you go, even if it starts a little rocky. I think like people got to have like that mindset of like rolling with the punches and knowing that, with some downs are going to come some ups.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's just like we gotta dial the understanding that those bad blocks are literally going to happen no matter who the coach is, no matter what the golden micro is, no matter what the golden macro is. It's like eventually it's gonna become less golden. Like something's gonna happen, it's like the
Yeah.
adaptations will happen regardless. And it's just like I mean, you never really see like the best of the best lifters have block after block after block after block where they're PRing. Like obviously they're more advanced, but they're not quitting because they had one bad block where they didn't exceed their last RP8 on the last block or something like that. It's just it's all about
Yeah.
it's all about the evolution.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too, like the obsession with the top end is a big thing in today's, powerlifting kind of mindset. Is people always like thinking about what's my peak single at right now, and not willing to do doubles, triples, fives, build work capacity. Like a lot of lifters, they do good on like a single or two, but then like a back down set of three, and they're taking like 50 pounds off the bar, right? And it's like, they're cooked. I think, that building that capacity is important for sure, like accessories and stuff like that, but even just like comp work, back downs, skill practice, all that sort of stuff. Like people, I feel like, when they're newer, they're focused on the top end. They're like, oh, I don't want to push my accessories very hard because I'm worried about like the fatigue and that sort of stuff. But then it's like, maybe they start to show up really good for, a block or two, but then, it starts to taper off because they're just not stimulating themselves enough on the days, and they're too zoned into, I got to feel good for this, this heavy day of the week. And they're not, giving their muscles adequate stimulus to grow. Yeah.
Exactly. No, it's it's insane. Like the top end, the addiction with the top end, it's like, okay, they start a block and they're only focused on the week 4. And they're only focused on the week 4 primaries, and it's just like they have a number in their head. And I feel like that helps some people like lock in throughout the block, but that also like, doesn't help some people either. It's like I'm going to hit 250 week 4, like nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to do everything in my power to do that, but then like, maybe they don't push the accessories as hard, or don't push the back downs as hard because they're only focused on the single. It's like it gets to a point where the obsession of the number it outweighs the results that you're going to get. So I mean, just take what's there, right? Stay in the pocket. So I mean, stay in the pocket. Like we got to lock it in. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
for
like
sure. Or even when like, someone misses a lift and they just completely like go off the rails, and they let their lifestyle, nutrition, all of that slide.
yes,
Like
yes.
like that's such a big thing where I've had that with lifters, where it's like you gotta like talk them off a ledge. It's like, look, this could have literally been just an off day. Like maybe sleep was a little bit disrupted. Maybe I mean, it's gonna happen at some point where you have this day and it's just not gonna go well. And like you have to be okay with that. Like I feel bad, like, because it frustrates me, because it's like, in any other aspect of life, it's like, these, when you're chasing like success in something big, it's like you kind of learn that, failure is a part of it. But then when it gets to like powerlifting, it's like, nope, 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 we got to change everything, because that top single was overshot or something like that, right? It's like, rolling with the punches. I think, yeah, people are just so focused on that top end a lot of times. It's something I used to be focused on so much, and I think it affected like my lifters' mindsets as well. And it got them
Hmm.
focused on that and not on like other things like, and it gets to a point too where it almost like feeds into the burnout after a certain point as well. Because if we foster this into like intrinsic, extrinsic motivation, right? It's like a lot of the time when people are just focusing on these top end numbers all the time, it's like what's the week 4 going to be like? Like a lot of that I find is rooted in like extrinsic, like what people think of this. Like, are you willing to post it if it doesn't go well? That sort of stuff. It's like people are worried about what other people are thinking, and it's like when people are only extrinsically motivated, like it will never be like a long sort of career because with the amount of time we spend in this sport, like working on improving ourselves and all these things that go into it, like the nutrition, the sleep and stuff and sacrifices, it's like there has to be like kind of this internal sense of like, getting closer to who you want to be, as a power lifter, as a person, or just kind of how you feel about yourself rather than like what other people feel about you, right? I mean,
No, exactly. It's like no, intrinsic motivation is everything. It's just like I think it's the probably one of the like number one, number two things that we could talk about with burnout. It's like if you don't have that intrinsic motivation and you're counting on like, oh, I'm gonna post this, I'm gonna get the best angle, I'm gonna not film from the side so they don't see depth.
bro is calling
I'm
me
gonna
out. I just
I'm
posted
gonna
on
I'm gonna
45. Oh
I'm gonna
man.
post a TikTok. I'm gonna post a TikTok edit audio, and I'm gonna make sure that it's just maximum aura blast. But then it's just like, I mean, what if that post doesn't do well? What if
Right, right,
people don't even? What if people don't respond and glaze you? It's just like
right, right.
it's rough. I mean, we love people supporting us, and we love having connections, but it's just like
Yeah,
be proud of yourself and
yeah,
realize your journey and realize how you are progressing through the months or even years.
yeah. I mean,
So
at
yeah,
the end of the day, it's like how many days in a row, weeks in a row, months and years can you stack of relying on other people feeding into your, you know, progressions because they're going to get slower. And then, people are impatient and they're wanting more than 5 pounds a block. And it's like, you're in the, intermediate, advanced, like it's kind of how it is, right? It's like the newbie phase, I think is a good time to get those things under control immediately. As is like a big focus to my coaching is like, if I'm working with a new lifter, and they're having like a really tough time and they're just kind of going off, like I'm gonna like do my best to center them and not just be like it's okay, that sort of thing. It's like no, like this has to change because if you want to, make it in the sport like long term, like the mindset has to shift into something that's not just oh I didn't make this, like I'm not going to go to nationals now, that sort of thing. Like it goes beyond that, right? It's like a personal journey, and it's like for me at least it has been in terms of like setting PRs. It's like I was able to stick with this and prove to myself that through the challenges, not giving up, that sort of stuff. I mean, where did is your like intrinsic kind of similar with that sort of stuff? For me, it's always been kind of like this overcoming challenges and carrying over to other aspects of my life. Like I like worked my ass off for this for like time after time, failing, and then you get to other problems in life and you're having a hard time, and it's like you're just that more willing to stick it out.
yeah, no, me too. I mean, I feel like with my powerlifting journey, I mean, it's a little bit different. I mean, like I was like a 93 kg for like a while, and I was just like, I mean, my life has to change. I mean, I just wanted to lose weight and look a little bit better and feel a little bit better. And now that I'm filling out 83 now instead of trying to fill out 93 unnecessarily, it's like I feel so much better, and that's not even like related to powerlifting. That's just general health, and it's like when you feel that, when I feel so much better than I did before, it's just like there's other goals that I'm going through in life, and then the powerlifting is like, okay, like I'm doing things that I did when I was much heavier and felt much worse and had brain fog and stuff like that. So like not only am I healthier, but I'm stronger. So it's like just look at it from different perspectives, and yeah, like you said, like any obstacle that I could possibly have, I can be like, it's just like a sport. It's the same exact thing. You just have to push through. And same thing that you said with failure. I have seen, like, I've been in the back rooms of some pretty decent lifters, luckily, like just either co-handling or just being there just out of the blue. And like I've seen like Jonathan Garcia on like at Open Nats or something, like when he lost against that one guy, that like blonde hair guy, that long hair guy at the 66 kg at PA Nats, he like he wasn't really that bummed. Like he didn't really feel, or he didn't really seem like that upset. Like obviously he wanted to win, but he realized that he just had to go on to the next. Like there was nothing else he could have done. Like maybe he could have squatted deeper in training or whatever, like doing other things to improve and go on to the next meet and be better. So that's
Yeah.
what the mindset of the advanced lifter has.
Yeah.
And I think yeah.
Yeah, I would even challenge that a little bit because, like, I'm thinking of Delaney Wallace when he was in the back room after the one meet, and he was like, breaking down a lot because, like, he puts like his heart and soul into like everything, and like he
Yeah.
lost to the one guy, but it's like, that's like a moment where it's like, that's a called for moment. That's different than like, crashing out, so to speak, where it's
No,
like a lot of
exactly.
people where it's like they're just focused on like, oh, this sucks, versus like him, it's like in that moment is just it didn't go the way he wanted. It was just kind of an emotions of just like all the hard work that went into it, and it didn't work out as planned. But like you best believe, like he went back in the next week, and we were seeing his training and all that. So he's like, you hit the ground running once
Exactly.
you spend some time down, or there's certain rules out there. Everyone's different, but like 24 hours you give yourself, or like after a top set or something, if it doesn't go well, like I'll let myself like kind of like watch the video a few times and kind of critique it and like, oh, that was short or something. I'll give myself like 10 minutes and I'll move on. Like um because there were times where I would like, I think this goes to hobbies outside of training too, because there was times where like I would be like posting on my story and stuff. This was like way back many, many, many years ago. Yeah, it was maybe 3 4 years ago even, where it's like I'm posting on my story and I'm like just watching my video over and over again, and it's like I'm just like not able to separate myself from like, I'm not able to separate my identity from like what happened in the gym on that day, and I think that's super important. It's like if you have your identity tied to this top set, if it goes well or poorly, like you're screwed. um and it's
Yeah.
like it
No.
carries over to this outside of the gym just, and I could see like when this was happening how I was like negatively like letting it affect me and how I treated people, because it's like because I missed my top single or something. Like when you take a step back, I mean it's kind of ridiculous, right? Because it's
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's
um,
yeah. I've done the same exact thing. Yeah. No, it's like I think we have to distinguish like between caring and like just being, I don't know, just overly crazy. I don't know, just being
Salty.
like insane. Yeah, being salty, being insane, because it's like, yeah, like you said, like Delaney was like not crashing out, but he was like crying and stuff like that because he genuinely loved the sport, and he knew he had an amazing prep. Like I saw some of his squat videos and prep and all that stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
like behind the scenes, and like it was absolutely like he was cooking, and it's just like to fail that last pull, it's just like it's all that hard work, and that doesn't mean that he skipped the whole week of training and he had a terrible
Right.
mindset when he came back. It's just like coming back, what gave him probably like an extra boost of energy. It probably made him work
Oh
even
yeah.
harder. So yeah, it's just I have done the same exact thing, like failing a lift, like in nationals prep or something like that. It's just like it messes with your head, and I think every lifter, regardless of who they are or how strong they are or how they started, they all have had those moments. But that disconnect is definitely like a learning curve, and it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't even happen in a year. So, yeah.
Yeah. Man, I had something I was going to say. I totally lost it, but it was on that exact point. Um, yeah, I think yeah. So when like training's not going well too, like let's say I have a really good block, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, where you get to the end of it and it's like you like miss it by a hair, and it's like man, like literally like a pound or two less on that bar, and it would have went up, or something like through the sticking point, and it makes you think back. It's like at least for me, this is kind of how my mind processes. It was like, man, that one day on the week two that I kind of scrolled my phone a little extra bit. Like, what if I slept 2 more hours on that day? Like, would it have went up because it's all building into the weeks, and I think this is actually a huge point. Is what I see a lot of times, especially in newer lifters, is once they get to the week four all of their behaviors change. All of a sudden, they're sleeping 8 hours, they're tracking all of their macros to a T, and it's like a lot of times that week four goes really well. And I feel like that has something to do with it, but it's like then you look at like the people at the pinnacle of the sport, and it's like they're doing that on the regular. Like it doesn't matter if
Yes,
it's a week
yes.
one, it doesn't even matter if it's a deload. Like they are, of course, there's like diet breaks or something like that, where you give yourself some leeway, but like there's got to be like these hard lines that you don't allow yourself to cross. And I think like if people treated their week fours like their behaviors going into it, like maybe like even into their week threes or week twos, like that exponential increase would really have them ahead. What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. I mean, yeah, I personally, I just because I'm so passionate about nutrition, it's like I've been tracking for the past like I don't know, like 4 years,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
three or
same.
four
Yeah,
years. It's like I just if it's down or if I don't track one day and I do poorly the next day, I know exactly that it could definitely be that. So it's like I mean, it's the same way that people say like make every rep move the same, make every weight move the same, like look the same, I guess technique wise. It's like make every day look the same no matter what day it is. Like even if it's a less important week, like a week one or whatever. That's how you build up into a strong week four, just having like locked in sleep and nutrition. I know that there's going to be times when you don't have locked in sleep and nutrition that might be out of your control, but I mean, literally just having that consistency and not tying yourself to a number and tying yourself to the performance behind that number, I guess I could say, like just suddenly locking in, like you said. It's just like you'll probably get every single kilo, every single gram out of the training that you are going to get on the week four if you lock in on all those subsequent weeks. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, because I've been seeing that where it's like, all of a sudden the person gets to the week four and it's like they're really, really locking in. I'm like, and if we could have this on like your week three or two, or maybe your week one, you're a little bit more chill with it, but like there's got to be a
Yep.
time where it's like if we can just improve that behavior in manageable chunks rather than like going from okay, you're doing good in the week four, now you got to lock in on everything, right? Where it's just get you closer to the goal. There's a lot of times where I'm framing it with lifters where it's like if you're trying to sleep better, I'm gonna tell them like let's go to bed 15 minutes earlier versus like if they're going to bed at midnight, like nope, you're putting your phone on D at 9. You're going under. You're going to bed at 9:30. It's like it's not gonna happen. Yeah, so I think on that same note, it's like manageable behavior changes, but like getting them to see the bigger picture where like each week, each session builds into the next, each week builds into the next, and I think too, um, a lot of times, like this is kind of on a side note, but like I'm seeing like a lot of lifters like looking at what the top people are doing, and they're thinking they need to do that, but they're not seeing what the top lifter did when they were the lifter looking to them. It's like they, just because you know, um, Delaney starts his block with a single at 6 or something, like that doesn't, necessarily mean that you can't handle more than that, right? If you're like a novice intermediate or something like that, you have like I've been programming like multiple singles for folks. That's like some kind of a newer thing I've been doing in the past few months, and it's been working fine. It's like I think a lot of times like people just look to the pinnacle and they're like, oh, like that's what I got to be doing because he's there, but it's like Well, he wasn't doing that at the start. He was doing a lot more, and then he got to this absolute strength level where you're squatting 700, and it's like, of course you can't like go in like hit an at 9 every week or an at 8 or something. You got to build it more. But if you're squatting like like 300, 400, then it's like I think a lot of like beginner lifters in that sense, like when their numbers aren't as high, they're focused on like, oh, that um, I don't want to go I don't want to like mess up my top set when it's like, it's not the end of the world if it's, if your top set doesn't go as planned, you hit the back downs and stuff like that. As long as you're hitting the back downs, you're doing the accessories. Because I think a lot of lifters I'm seeing like when they're newer, their top set doesn't go well, or let's say they overshoot it and they're like, oh, I got to go really easy on my accessories. It's like, oh, I hate that, man. I can't stand that. Like, what are your thoughts on that? That's a lot.
Oh man, I mean, don't get me started on the accessories, but I mean, I what was I gonna say, man? Yeah, it's just atrocious. Yeah, I like the obviously comparison is the thief of joy. So it's just like you see these top level lifters and you're like, I need to do this now. Like Willow is my age. Like he is 21 years old. I am not totaling 900 kg, but I understand that the
19.
journeys are different. Or I'm not totaling 900 kg. He's 21,
Oh,
right?
is he? Okay. I
He's
thought he
21.
was
Yeah, I think
19.
maybe he's younger, maybe. But regardless, like he's around
Yeah.
that age bracket, and yeah, like I'm not doing what he was doing, but I mean, he has had a crazy rise, and like before he even started posting and competing, he was down to a certain level. So it's like just kind of scope out, and just every lifter has had their own either crazy gains in one year or little by little, year by year. It's like everyone has had that journey to get to where they are. So yeah, I think social media is like definitely it can
Oh,
harm
man.
someone, but it can also help someone out. Like I think it
Yeah.
motivates me like seeing like my friends pop off or like my athletes pop off too. It's like, damn, like you're getting crazy strong. Like
Oh, yeah.
I want to see the more that I can do. And that's kind of a mindset thing. It's like don't be a little bit more like happy for people, and just like maybe see what you can lock in on even further and get stronger. But yeah, the accessory stuff and like treating their top set like it's basically like their only set of the day.
Yep.
It's like I had a lifter, I think literally like this block. He just something happened on the top set and just didn't really go too well. I mean, he still got it, but it was just harder than usual. And I'm pretty sure he skipped his accessories. I don't think he told me, but his other friend told me. And it's just like, I mean, that's just something where you just feel discouraged, and it's just not necessarily his fault. He's newer to the sport, so he just got a little bit upset that it didn't move the way that he thought that it was going to move, maybe even like a week prior. So it's just like understand that those accessories have to be stimulated, and
Yeah.
that's something that's a concept for another day.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'd get into it like a little bit. I'd say like, if your top set doesn't go well, let's say, and it's like, and all of a sudden you're skipping the accessories, like that's throwing off the later sessions. Like a lot of times you need those accessories to get muscle fullness, to get strength carryover. Like a lot of times, like in tapers and stuff, when people take those out, like things will start to not go very well in a sense, a lot of times. And I think that is something to do with it. It's like if we're skipping all these accessories, we're like changing more of the program, making it worse after like already
Exactly.
overshooting. I would say if
Yeah.
someone overshoots, I'm like, all right, let's really nail these accessories like on the head. Like, let's say you're usually sandbagging your accessories. They're really easy. Okay, since you missed your top set, like let's push them really hard now. Now that you got like a fire lit inside you, like because you're like mad that it didn't go well,
Yeah.
then like let's push them even harder. So I'd say I think people got it backwards in terms of like the mindset like surrounding the rest of the session. At least for me, that's kind of how I've seen it. Where it's like I don't see too often nowadays where a lifter like misses a top set, like uh posts it. but like misses a top set and goes into those accessories and they're like locked. But
Yeah.
I have seen, I've been able to work with some high level lifters, and they are like, it's, they'll like, I I won't throw their name out there, but like there's like did a deadlift and was like going through a lot of like external stuff, and it wasn't like anything in his control really. Like it just, the day wasn't there, and he was like, he finished the set, he like slammed his belt on the ground, and that was it. And then he went on with the session, and he did everything as intended. Like that's like, like a 5 second crash out in a video. Like that's fine. But people like
Yeah.
make it more than it is. Like there's a lot of stress on your plate. Like, yeah, you could like lighten up some of the work, but you got to put it in perspective. Like, um, are you doing it because you're actually like really needing to focus on recovery, or is it just like, oh, I'm kind of stressed, I don't really want to do it anymore, that sort of thing? Because it's like that's what's going to
Mhm.
separate your higher self from like, the one that's kind of just going to stay where you're at, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then when when you're not, when you have a high stressful, like, work environment or an outside environment, you are immediately less comfortable in the gym overall. So it's just, it plays a role into that too. But yeah, absolutely. Man, what was I gonna say? I think it's, man, I'm blanking. I'm blanking. But yeah, like it's, man. Wait. Hold on. I almost got it.
Okay.
I almost got it. um, yeah, like the high stressful environment, it's literally making them less comfortable, and then one thing plays into the other. And I personally treat, this is what I was gonna say. I personally treat like the accessories and the powerlifting like they're two separate things. It's like, if something goes wrong in the powerlifting, it doesn't mean that something's gonna go wrong in the accessories.
I
And
like
the
that. I
accessory,
like that.
yeah, exactly. It's two separate sessions, and obviously, like I have a lot of passion for bodybuilding now more than ever, but that doesn't mean I still don't have passion for powerlifting. But still, it's just like, yeah, it's two separate sessions. It's like you got to nail both things. If one thing doesn't get nailed in either of the disciplines, just move on to the next one. But yeah, like you said, it's like the accessory workload, the accessory intensity, all that stuff. It's going to play a role into how the taper executes itself, how everything executes itself. It's like we put those accessories in for a reason. We put how many and the amount of sets for a reason. So it's like you're
Yeah.
definitely throwing all that stuff off. So yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
It's rough, but
I've
we're
even
all
I've even
human.
had I've even had people do accessories on like a separate day so that they could really lock into it. Like they're going to the session, like, yeah, get some caffeine in your system and like just hammer that. And that tends to go pretty well because a lot of times too, I mean, especially when you get to a higher level, like sometimes like doing, SBD and accessories all on the same day becomes a bit unfeasible and you have to split it up more. But yeah, it really depends on where the lifter's at in the progression. But man, what are your thoughts on SBD days? Like, and like different like experiences or kind of things you've seen, or like in novices, intermediates, advanced, etc., that sort of stuff. What are your thoughts on them?
I think they're great, but I think that some people take way too long in the gym, and that kind of it plays a role into how drained
Oh
you
yeah.
are. So it's like, I mean, I've been doing more SBDs than ever, with who's coaching me, Big Body's coaching me, and like my tolerance is like pretty high. Like I recover, so I'm doing
Oh,
like two
big
SBD days.
body.
I'm doing
Um,
like two SBD days a week, but it's like, I can finish it in like an hour and a half, 2 hours, like roughly ish, and that's something that I probably wouldn't have been able to do in the past. So that plays a role. But yeah, I love SBD days, especially like SBD Saturdays. That's like a really decent way to program. It's like you can just,
yeah,
you barely even have to peak the person. I mean, just put them on the week 4. If it's like less of a important meet and it's just like a qualifier or something like that, like just
yeah.
like
Yeah,
pace
I
pace
like
them
that.
so that it's a week 4 Saturday, and that's
Mhm.
perfect. But I think some of the SBDs are, it's good for a lot of people. It's bad for a decent amount of people. But yeah, the SBD
Yeah,
plus accessories gets a little rough. That's kind of tricky.
yeah. I've actually improved my work capacity a good bit over the last 6 months, and seeing like my ability to handle like accessories and stuff improve, and being able to do even more like comp specific work and with the comp lifts. Um, and but yeah, to go to your point about SPD days, I do like them, but I definitely you think you got a point about like the time spent in the gym because like I remember reading into like this is kind of getting scientific and stuff, but like testosterone to cortisol ratio, like after the gym a certain amount of time, and I always read it as 3 hours. Like at that 3 hour mark, you're going past
Yeah.
that, like you're gonna start to dip down into like more stress hormone elevation, and then just like the hormones that are more anabolic, like testosterone and stuff, are gonna start to dip a little bit, and just I mean I just don't like how the mental, like how it affects the mental to be in the gym that long because it's like that's almost like half a workday. Like
No, yeah.
that's a while. Yeah, I think like under 3 hours, and it really depends on the lifter. Like I think people like rest like way longer than they need to a lot. I feel like if they had like a timer going or something, or they weren't chatting with their friends as much, that'd be something where if they had a timer going, they can work on their efficiency. I think sometimes like work capacity can come down too to like, oh, I didn't realize I was resting like 10 minutes between sets. And then, when they're doing a set of their comp lift, they're like, oh, I'm cooked. I need to sit down and rest for like 10 minutes, after like a at six or something like that, right?
Yeah. No, it gets to a point like that just the longer you are in there, it's the worse. But like I know that, on the contrary, it's like I think like Bob Matthews has like 5+ hour something like I saw
Oh, Joe
like some
Borenstein, bro. I remember,
yeah, like
I Adam Peeler used to be my coach, he had Joe Borenstein on the podcast, I think, and Joe was talking about he'd like bring in like multiple meals to the gym,
yes, yes, it's
and he'd
crazy. It's
rest like
crazy.
30 minutes like between each lift, which is valid. I think like what he I think it was like I don't recall. Part of me wants to say it was like 30 minutes after squat he'd rest and 30 minutes after bench he'd rest, which isn't bad, like given his strength level, but like most people don't need to be doing that.
No, yeah, no, that's like a very rare occasion, but yeah, those people are just like, yeah, they bring their food in, they like treat it like their whole entire day because it's like a primary squat, primary bench, primary deadlift, and it's like for everything. You know what I mean? It's like basically like a mock meet for them,
Right.
like mentally and physically. But yeah, it's like this is like a science-based lifting thing too, like with like the bodybuilding and stuff. It's like, oh, like full body every other day. Full body takes so long, but it's like you don't have to, it doesn't have to take that long, like either
Right.
like you're
Yeah.
being super either
You
you're
get
being
efficient
super
at it.
max either being yeah, you're either being super maximalist with it and you're having like 30 exercises, or you're being like a little bit more modest or minimalist and like you just
Oh
have
yeah, dude, the
as
the
or
30
you just have the
exercise
exercise.
approach.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You just have the exercises that you need to get your stimulus, and then you move on to the next day, and it
You
can
get
take
like
like
the
an hour 15 or like something like that.
pronator Terry's wrapper.
Yeah, fucking.
Oh man,
I
no,
don't
but
even
I
know, man.
saw,
So many.
I
Yeah,
I saw your brother Grant is a flex
yeah.
coach, and right after I think it was I can't remember what competition this was. It was a recent one, and like pretty much the same day the guy was going in the gym and he was doing like a set per muscle group. Who was that, or what was
That
like?
was that was Chance Buford. Yeah, that was
Yes,
hilarious.
yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
So he
For
was,
atrophy. Yep.
yeah, he was going in the same day, wasn't he, or something like that?
It was like the night before or so the same day. Yeah.
The night
Yeah.
before the comp, or the
I don't know if it was the night before or the day of, but it was something along those lines. Yeah, I think
that's
it was
crazy, bro.
it was partially a meme, but partially not a meme. Like I mean, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. It's
I
like it's
remember
just
he
like a
was he
couple.
was wearing like his medal and he's doing like push.
Exactly.
Oh
It was
man.
hilarious. Yeah, no, it's that stuff is so funny, and that's what makes lifting fun, bro. Just having fun with it. But
Yeah, I love
um,
seeing how creative people can get and going outside the box. I think too, like from a coach's standpoint, like this is something I've been working on is like not staying glued to a specific approach because I feel like a lot of times we just have this tunnel vision or at least I see a lot of like coaches um in the industry and some of the coaches I've worked with where it's like it just doesn't deviate that much. Which is understandable to a degree, but at some point it's like you got to be willing to change things a good bit to actually spark improvement again, because it's like, people are so focused on this finding this golden approach, and it's like, well, every like each block you're like trying to like dial it more and more, like you're allowing the lifter to lose some adaptations from like the really hard shit, because like at least in my mind, like the golden microcycle and stuff, and like this ideal approach is, it's honestly like a lot of times like it's not pushed ridiculously, like in a super intense block. At least in my experience, I don't know. Can you attest to that, or do you have like a different view on it?
The golden microcycle not being as pushed as,
Or
yeah,
like,
no, absolutely.
it being like a ridiculously hard block per se compared to like some other blocks that the person's had.
Yeah, it's not ridiculously hard. They're not doing that many sets. They're like, they're comfortable, they're chilling, they're not spending a lot of time in the gym. They have more time for their life. It's like
Right.
things are
Yeah.
kind of just balanced.
They
It's
got
just
that
like, yeah,
groove.
that's usually that's kind of like the goat. It's just like, but yeah, it's just like I think the whole thing about the coaching methodologies and stuff, it's like that's huge. It's like you got to kind of realize that what you have and what you've learned so far, it's obviously not everything, and nobody knows everything. And I was having a conversation with Grant in the car going to Corpus for the nationals, and they were talking, or him and Carrie were talking about who the best
Karen
coach in
Cinemati?
powerlifting is. Yeah, yeah, who the
Hell
best
yeah.
coach in powerlifting is. And I guess frankly, just to just like summarize it, is like they couldn't find the answer because every coach has a different methodology, every coach has a different thing that they specialize in, and every coach is obviously like amazing and has certain things that they are the best at, right? I'm like personally best at nutrition. Like that's what I'm focused on more, that's what I major in, stuff like that. And then someone else might be best at physical therapy or something like that. So it's like it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
kind of pick from different things.
I think too. It's like I think it was Sean Noriega's mentorship, and he was like going over like different aspects of the triangle, where it's like there's the programmer, there's the one that attunes to lifter psychology, and then there's there was one other one, but it's like there's different aspects that a coach should like be able to tap into, right? It's like if you're only focused on the programming, like that's only half the battle. If that, like, if the lifter isn't bought into the process and they don't understand
Hmm.
like why they're doing what they're doing, and like there's not alignment there, like it's not going to go as well as it could. Sometimes there's a significant difference with
Yes,
like the
dude.
results they
Yes.
get. This is where it's like this is where a lifter could I've talked to coaches about this, where it's like some of the coaches I've been an athlete under or worked with, and it's like they could have a lifter come from a different coach, and the program could be like you know very very subtly different, not enough to where it'd be like, oh wow, he's going to get a massive results difference or something, where it's like maybe a back down is like 5% heavier like across the block, but the response is just massively different because like they tailored like their style to the athlete, or they just kind of gelled better, where it's like the athlete had the buy-in, the trust, they were understanding of
Hmm.
things better, they may be locked in more mentally or push themselves, because it's like, all right, like the coach, like they know what they're doing, like I'm a fully engaged now, versus before maybe like it's like, oh, that don't really understand this, but I'm gonna like kind of push it, I'll do what I can. Like those are two different states to me, at least. I mean, what do you think?
Yes, no, no. Being bought in is probably like everything in the sport. Like you have to be bought in. There's that's a non-negotiable. It's just like I think that the program can be absolutely perfect. And if you're not bought in, it probably won't maximize your gains. Like you probably won't get as
Yeah.
strong as you actually are able to if you're not mentally bought in and have that effort. It's like if you're not bought in, then you kind of have one foot out the door. Maybe you're focusing on other things or whatever. You're gonna have less just overall physical effort. Maybe you go under the range on most days. Maybe whatever. It's like yeah, being bought in is an incredibly underrated key. That's an amazing point to bring
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I think too, like to give an example of like the ranges thing, like you said, is a lot of lifters they will. This is something I've got into recently is like session labeling. Now, like if you have this newer lifter and right, and they're gonna they're like you're wanting them to push decently on all the sessions, and you put in there like secondary day. Like a lot of lifters will like let's say they have access to like some premium resources like powerlifting now where they see Will Ball posting his secondary day and it's like wow he's really going light on that. I wonder if this is just an RP cap and I can just kind of stay below this a couple points. Like that's big. Like that's a big difference. Will Ball versus a someone who's not Will Ball, right? It's like you get to a
Exactly.
certain level and it's like they need to go lighter because they're still needing to get like intact with the get the movement in, get the muscles full, the technique, all that sort of stuff. But like for a newer lifter, like they're able to recover a lot quicker and handle and need that extra work or otherwise like I've been explaining this to some lifters is like otherwise you could be going into the next session overly fresh and then things can also start to happen negatively. Maybe you get a bit more beat up because, you're not, prepared again. And it's like I've had lifters where it's like they're like, "Oh, why is this pain coming up?" And I'm looking and I'm like, well, you're doing like you're fluctuating like 50-pound increments between your secondary days. Like that exercise shouldn't vary that much. It's like oh let's add a 25 bumper here. Oh let's take that off. Like and they're just and it's like they like if you're pushing things appropriately, like and I'm curious to hear your take on this, but like it shouldn't change that much with like the weight selection. Like if you're in range, like I love when people are like, you give them an at 7, at 8 leg press or at 7, at 8, at 9, and it's like, all right, the at 7 was like 225, and the at 9 was like, you know, or the at 7 was like 225, and the at 8 was like 500. It's like same reps. It's like, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I honestly I might start programming in RIR like like for everything. That actually might I don't know if I'm going to fully do that, but it might help. Just like it might be slightly more readable for the lifter, but I'm not sure. But yeah, like RPE they might just RP7 they treat it like an RP5 or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they treat an RP7 like an RP10. So yeah, I absolutely agree. I just yeah, that's a key point. It's like that stimulus is being missed out on if we're not hammering down on the weights at the actual RP. It shouldn't have a crazy drastic drop off or a drastic increase for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think something too that's worth mentioning is like I think like sometimes a lifter will accidentally kind of like or maybe like for some reason or another they'll undershoot that day and they'll go into the that next day with the heavier weights, the next session, and they'll feel better. And it's like, oh, I gotta start doing that every week because my heavier day's showing up better. But they don't realize that they're almost like peaking themselves in the short term. But it's not a sustainable approach, right? Because it's like, well, yeah, I that's something I run into with people a lot because it's like it like at face value, it's like, well, man, if I go lighter on this day goes better. But after a period of weeks, it starts to go backwards because you weren't stimulating yourself enough. You were just, recovering enough to feel good or over recovering. And then you performed really well for a couple sessions, but then you started losing those, adaptations from not pushing that the other day as hard, right? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, you're losing all the adaptations. It's just like, I mean, I think like that probably happens in like maybe even like a week 2 or a week 3. Like maybe the week 1 doesn't feel as good, like obviously coming off of week 4, and then they're like, I gotta bring this intensity down. I don't really mind if like maybe the RP says 6 and I'll go like much below that and like just say that the bar felt heavy today or whatever, right? And then they feel good on the week 3 primary, and then things kind of just they feel good on the week 3 primary and then they don't feel good on the where they're supposed to feel good, I guess I could say. But it's like they should kind of have that. I guess this comes with development and just going through the sport. But like, I mean, the more years you get into it, you're just like, okay, like I know that I'm probably not going to be primed every single week, and I shouldn't
Right.
be primed every single week. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It took
yeah,
me a lot longer to learn that than than um than it should have. And honestly, it took some of like the best coaches in the industry to actually nail that into my head is like, being peaked all the time just isn't something that's necessary or even, beneficial after a certain period of time. Of course, it is for the golden microcycle, or especially if you're at a high level, you don't want like your sessions to be like a ton of fatigue per se. Like, of course, like some people do need some, but I mean, it's not going to be something where you're like cooked, typically. Uh, but like, the blocks themselves, like I think too, like different goals for different blocks is important because it also takes lifters out of that, just that top end is the only thing that matters. Because it's like it's also fun. I mean, I always thought it was fun as hell to like push a 5 RM, like get like a nosebleed on a 5 RM squat. Like
yeah, bro,
that
absolutely.
stuff is
Yeah,
sick.
yeah,
And I think like, like once you're in the situation, it's like, oh, that doesn't really sound it. But once you're in the situation, you're like, oh, I'm fired up, man. Or like a 3 RM or something like that. It's like everyone is focused on the add six, add seven, add eight, add nine progression. And it really,
yeah.
it goes beyond that. It's like in our thing, beyond the total, it's like how you're approaching your sessions, being intentional with things and realizing that, you know, things also exist on a spectrum where it's like you have a slight overshoot, your entire block isn't, cooked unless you're maybe low ball.
Yeah, exactly. Your entire block is not cooked, and you're going to be okay. And like, yeah, exactly. Like, I think obviously programming singles is beneficial, but like understanding that progress doesn't just come like just doesn't just come from singles. Like you said, 5 RM, increasing the weight that you do on accessories, like that's everything. Because it's like
Yeah.
if you see the accessories going up, you know that like that contractile tissue, that muscle tissue is most likely getting built
Yeah.
over time, and
Or
that's playing
unless
a role.
I would say unless you're like brand new to the accessory, like then like
Yeah,
the nervous
exactly.
system
That's it.
is
Yeah,
moving it. But like if
of
you've been
course.
doing it for a couple months and like you're getting like these 5 pound increases and it's remaining the same intensity or it's kind of scaling appropriately, that's a good sign that definitely the strength is increasing. But yeah, like being able to tolerate increased like even number of sets on a comp lift, I find is like huge for like capacity where it's like if you can do like instead of a triple at 8 and then you're cooked and like back downs feel ridiculously heavy, it's like if you can get like a triple at 8 and then a triple at 6 or a 7, like that's huge. Like and
Hmm.
not feel cooked. Like and think about how that can raise someone's baseline to tolerate more work. So this is something I've been thinking about too. It's like people will go into a capacity block, and I know Marcellus talked about this on powerlifting now, where it's like if you can handle the increase in the workload like immediately, no issues, like that's not necessarily an increase in work capacity. Like you just brought yourself to realize where it's like, oh, I can do more. But like if it's like, okay, you add an extra couple sets and it's like you wake up the next day, you're really sore, that sort of stuff. It's like, all right, you weren't like ready, or we'll say you weren't like used to that amount of stimulus, or maybe your body's like in a bit more of a recovery mode in terms of like everything you got going on with sleep, nutrition, stress, training history, all that where you're at, versus like, oh, I added a set of leg extensions and everything improved immediately. It's like, well, you probably just needed that set anyways.
Exactly. Yeah, you're
um,
probably just adapting to the extra set that you're getting, and you're getting that kind of newbie gain from extra
right,
stimulus,
right.
right? Yeah.
And
So it's like,
it's
yeah, you feel the soreness because you've never done that much before, or whatever. It's yeah, exactly. It's just like
yeah,
there's different ways to measure progress, and I think that's a huge way to stop burnout from happening. It's like
yeah. I
you
think
see other things increasing. That's yeah.
yeah. I think the other thing too I find with burnout is it's probably be one of our last points because we're coming up on an hour. But I think I think like the way the person like lets the fatigue kind of be there in the moment and not freak out is, at least for me, that used to be a big issue because I'd like do an exercise and I would like feel maybe some achiness after in the target muscle group. But what the hell's going on? It's like
Yeah.
you just got to kind of break it down. It's like, well, you work the muscles and maybe you're towards the end of a block or something, some fatigue is building. Like, be able to sit with the feeling. I think a lot of people, um, it took me doing this to a coach multiple times to kind of realize what was happening is a lot of people, in the session itself, like start texting coach immediately. It's like, oh, this isn't feeling good. I'm feeling a lot of fatigue all of a sudden. What's not working? Where it's like, had they just waited till after the session that night and then looked back at the session and then sent their stuff, it's like, oh, that wasn't that bad. It's like you got to be able to separate yourself from in the moment, like and be able to realize what's urgent in an emergency and like what can wait and should wait, right? Because it's like, you tear your groin or something, it's like, all right, that's an emergency, I should tell coach. But it's
Yes.
like, oh, this is feeling a little heavy today, that can probably wait. Like let yourself go through the things and then process it, because it's like there's only so much we can do in the moment anyways. Like, what we might tell you to go 10 pounds lighter or something. It's like,
Yeah, no. Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Where it's like, if you're feeling like, if the athlete feels like they like need someone to hold their hand throughout the whole journey, like to me, they're behind the eight ball. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Just, I mean, yeah, the holding their hand thing. I mean, that's obviously some athletes are more neurotic than others,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's definitely that's like, that's crazy. It's a massive conversation, and that neuroticism can get, it can get carved out of someone naturally. That's like a personal thing that they deal with. When they realize like, oh, I might be, thinking a little bit too much. That might be like detrimental to my progress or whatever. But yeah, like you said, like understanding, like, okay, this went bad, and then just going through that mental process, taking a couple of breaths, whatever, and then just like I've gone through that same thing. It's like maybe something doesn't feel as fast or whatever, doesn't even look as fast on the video when I'm first seeing it, and then I see it at like the 9 p.m. the night of, and I'm like, you know what? That wasn't too bad given
That,
everything.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah, for
maybe
real.
maybe everything's gonna be all right. Maybe the grass is gonna be greener on the other side. Like, I'm gonna have delayed gratification instead of instant
Yes,
gratification. I'm just gonna,
man, that's
that's
such a
that's
thing.
like that's
That,
a amazing thing to just like basically cap off. Like delayed gratification is everything. It's just that's something that when you're in your first couple of years as a junior lifter, you don't have that delayed gratification concreted in your head yet. You know what I mean? You're looking for the next PR over and over again because you're
yeah,
just getting used to it. Yeah.
yeah. I think that's too where it like comes down to, I think where a lot of lifters who have initially like slower progress or takes a while to figure things out, I think, that gives them a little bit of the upper hand because it's like they realize that from the beginning, where it's like, this is tough versus like you get this massive spike and then this drop. And a lot of people, they just can't handle it. It's just, and that's what drives them out, where it's like they're expecting it to always be this uphill, or it's like they know it's going to come down, but not as aggressively, and oftentimes that's how it goes. It drops off aggressively. Um, so it's like if someone's like making modest progress, I think that's a winner. Even a little bit of progress, like any progress, obviously over no progress, but like I wouldn't even say it's always this good thing where like these massive increases are happening, because I'm thinking like, what's that going to do to the lifter's mental when they hit this point where it's going to start to you know turn around, and how are they going to handle that? Am I going to be able to talk them off a ledge? Am I going to be able to, do they have it in them that to be able to see it through, to and all these personality things that go into it, like kind of how they were raised and all that. But yeah, I think it's not. I think the point here I'm getting at is like, it's not a bad thing if someone is not like, making phenom progress in the short term. I actually think it's a very overlooked aspect of like longevity in the sport, is just learning that things are not going to like be handed to you like early on. and that you have to work for it. Because I mean, I think you and I like we're not like we didn't like get like to where we are like overnight, like process of many years, and it's like I don't think either of us had this like massive like uptick where all of a sudden we're just like where we are now. Because like for me, if I go way back when and compare it to now, it's like if that happened in like 3 months and then like I'm at where I'm at now and making like slow progress, be like, oh man, like this sucks, I'm done, or
Yeah,
something like
no.
that, where it's like, you know, I think having it extended over a long term where, you kind of get used to more slow or steady-ish progress rather than these big spikes. Because a lot of people just, I think do better mentally. Like if you have the right coach reassuring you that, you're on the right track, where it's like these small progress, like, what is it? There's a couple sayings like, over a year you add like 5 pounds to your squat per month over a year, and that's 60 pounds. Like that's big, but like 5 pounds a month, that kind of sucks.
Yeah,
Like it's
exactly,
all
exactly.
about half glass or half glass empty, half full. It's like it's really the way you look at it, right? Um, I think we'll cap it off there. But you got any last minute things? I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. I don't know if you got any
Yeah, I
other.
covered everything too, but yeah, just love the process.
Yeah.
Delay.
Oh, and yeah, I think hobbies outside the gym too, right? I mean, you and
Hobbies
I,
outside the gym.
yeah, we have like coaching and stuff that we do. I mean, I that to me like coaching is separate. Like I don't like where it's I'm not thinking about my own training or think something like that. Where it's like I'm able to direct this energy towards their training,
Yeah, yeah,
and I
exactly.
like that. I don't know
Yeah, no,
about
I
you, but
like I like just, I've been getting like like 20,000 steps a day. That's been helping. Just like a different hobby, like just getting things up, like just doing other things. I mean, I think I had a perspective of like, maybe the gym is more like a majority of my life and maybe it shouldn't be. Like, maybe I have to, like just scan back, just
yeah,
understand that, maybe if I focus too much, it might, get in the way of other things mentally as
yeah.
well. So,
So then
yeah.
it's like you can fall back on the other hobby when things aren't going well in the gym. I think that's a
Yeah,
big
exactly.
thing. It's like if you don't have anything else going on, it's just gonna serenade you. It's just gonna
Yeah,
like
no.
it's gonna always be there on your mind. Like um so yeah, I think just having hobbies outside the gym and delayed gratification, thinking on the long term, not on like the short end of the stick where it's like it goes back to like 5 pounds a month, 60 pounds a year, like depending on which way you look at it. And honestly, the you or I, like 5 pounds a month, like that's not bad.
I love 5 pounds a month. Absolutely, we'll take that any day of the week. Yeah, I'll take that
Oh
over.
man.
I'll take that over 100 pounds in 1 month and then 0 pounds like in 11 months. So I mean, yeah, absolutely,
All
like for
right.
sure.
Um, so yeah, you all can find myself or Cole on Instagram. I'm at I think Branderson.powerlifts. And Cole, what's your username again?
Iverson strength. Yeah, just
Iverson
all one
Strang.
word. Yes, yes,
Love it.
sir.
Love it. All right, we'll cap it at that for today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.